Hello, I'm Simon Roderick from Fram. I'm delighted to be joined today by Roger Miners. Roger's the Chief Executive Officer of BNP Paribas Asset Management UK, but he also holds the dual role of being the global CMO. I want to talk to Roger today about digital transformation with a focus on marketing, but obviously he's ideally placed to give us an insight into the wider themes within the asset management industry. Roger, how are you keeping it? How's it been running a business in the last year or so?
Well, thanks, Simon. It's been interesting times, isn't it? And I'm keeping fairly well, I'm pleased to say. I feel lucky that I'm in a rural setting, so I can get out and do some exercise and see nature, which I think helps with the mental and physical wellness through this environment. So feeling good. And I am an optimist, but it's hard not to be optimistic right now. I think, what have we got? 30 million jabs now, 5 million, over 5 million having had their second jabs. So, and the change of the seasons, right? So we've got spring on its way, the cherry blossom out. My village pub is opening on Thursday. So I think it's even though I am an optimist, it's hard not to be optimistic with that ahead of us.
Definitely changes the mood this week. I think that people can get out and about a little bit more, and I can certainly feel the happiness when I'm talking to people at the moment, which is great news. And how's it been in terms of running the business? I mean, are the teams still currently working remotely, and how's that been in terms of connectivity?
Yeah, so the teams are still running largely remotely, but it's definitely different region by region. In the UK, I can't wait to get people back to the office. I think for many of us, and definitely for me, I realize I took a lot for granted in terms of the fulfillment of work from all those little interactions one has that only can really happen in person. As human beings, we're social animals, and just that the intellectual discussion that can go in an unstructured way over a lunch, over a dinner, that you just can't achieve in the same way over Zoom or over Teams. So really looking forward to that. And as soon as I can, we'll be looking to get our teams back to the office. If not in a slightly different way, because I think that's one of the learnings we've got coming out of this, is that we can create this flexi office, this environment where the office can be used in specific ways of where people need to get together, but also the benefits of people being able to work from home as well, which I think will be a massive change for the financial service industry and a welcome one, and I hope will attract different talent. But then more broadly, if I think about speaking to our CEO in Hong Kong on Monday, life is pretty normal there. So they're getting the vaccine. After a little bit of a false start. I think there's some worries about tampering out there, but otherwise they can get out. There's beautiful weather. They can go to the beach, go for runs. The restaurants are open. Where it's slightly tricky, I'm finding, with colleagues is in Europe, where speaking to my colleagues, for example, in Paris, they're going back into lockdown. They've had a bit more freedom, maybe more freedom than here in the UK, but they're going back into lockdown. And kids being back at home, so some trials and tribulations from that. But overall, the business is doing really well, and it's an opportunity, as I've said to the staff, to prove that we are going to walk the talk. A lot of firms talk about being client centric, but it's an opportunity to show how serious we are about that and how we turn up for our clients in their hour of need, and they've certainly needed us through this crisis.
But COVID came upon us very quickly, I think, Roger, didn't it? I mean, it certainly took many of us by surprise. And so how have asset managers had to change their marketing strategies to cope with that sudden change in how we operate?
Yeah, so it's sort of a case of recovering and renewing, but having to slightly do it all at the same time. So if I look at the needs that, it's a year ago, pretty much to date, that markets were in turmoil, and our clients, the same, needed us more than ever before. And marketing can play that role of providing the content, but also the confidence to our salespeople to engage better with clients, to be there for our clients in their hour of need, but also interact directly. So you talked about how we connected digitally. We launched new podcasts, webcasts, new high-touch virtual environment for our clients to interact in a more social setting very, very quickly. So it's been that opportunity to engage with clients in a more intense way in their hour of need. It's what I called it. My colleagues are probably sick of me saying I call it constructive paranoia, and that paranoia of being there for our clients through that time.
And somebody described COVID as being a great accelerator, an accelerator of existing trends, and digital transformation has been a key theme within the marketing industry for a number of years now. How has the role of the CMO changed to reflect that shift to digital?
Yeah, well, it's interesting that, because I started my career as a salesperson. I was running business development, and 10 years, 20 years ago, I wouldn't have thought of going into marketing. It was sort of almost a support function. Whereas, as things have evolved, the role of CMO is one where you're defining the positioning of the company. When I came in, we thought about the overall brand value of the organization, the value proposition. We're thinking about which clients we want to target, was defining the values of the firm, the behaviors, and defining those. And so, rather than just looking solely on the year sales targets, it's the role of the CMO is there to position the overall company. And I think that's a fundamental change that's happening within asset management firms, of which CMOs and the marketing organization is playing a leading role. And what I mean by that is that transformation to being a client-centric firm. And I know that's a lot of people talk about that, but it's quite a profound change that's required in my mind to do that. And the role of the CMO is central to that. If you think about it, the way I think about it, the old style firm is one that's structured around the functions. So you've got sales, marketing, technology, investment, HR, or the operations. And that old style firm, the characteristics are typically very siloed, one-dimensional, content generic to clients, but also can be fairly hierarchical. I'll let you decide what hierarchy those used to be in. And for me, it's this transformation to an asset management firm and the new world, the client-centric world, with the client at the heart of it, and then the structured around the client journey. And to be able to do that, it's all about being data-led and digitally enabled. And that's the CMO can play a crucial role in that. And as we do that, it means we can give much more personalized service to our clients. And we have the data in order to be able to make sure we're speaking to the right clients in the right way at the right time. And the role of CMO is at the forefront of that. And I have to say, I've loved that evolution through my career, from business development to this wider strategic role of CMO, and balancing that with together with the chief executive role.
And it sounds like clients are benefiting as well because of that personalization and that understanding of their needs better, which perhaps you couldn't have got in a more of an analog world in many ways. Does it in some ways though, Roger, change the type of talent that marketing teams need in-house?
Yeah, it does. It does change it. And it's funny what you were saying there in terms of the personalization. In order to do that, I saw a stat recently from Miller Heiman that on the back of this crisis, the average client meeting is 17 minutes long. Well, in order to make sure that that's a valuable time, the amount of information you need to have in preparing for that meeting, the amount of intelligence to understand what have they been looking at, what information, what training have they been doing with us throughout the firm, what have they been looking at our website? Which emails have they been opening, and the thought leadership they've been looking at? Not in some creepy way, but just to have an understanding of that, so you can use that 17 minutes as valuably as possible in to help them. So that personalization is absolutely vital. The talent wise, the first thing to say is, what I'm sure of is, and this is with my CEO hat on and CMO hat on, is the importance of greater diversity of talent. And I don't mean just by gender, but in every sense of the word. And not only to have the diversity in terms of the numbers, but to create an environment where these people can be at their best. We're a high-performing industry. The difference between winners and losers is very small. People talk about alpha, they talk about performance. Delivering that performance is a very delicate and precious thing, and it needs great minds coming together from all over the world and to be at their best. So it's about having that diversity, and I'm looking to broaden that diversity, but also create an environment where people are listening, respecting one another, so we can be at their best. And then in more specifically in marketing, as I said, there's this big drive towards digital, and I created a centers of expertise around digital marketing, which is a growing team, and that needs new talent and different talent, and we need to make sure it reflects the client base that we have. Someone reminded me recently that we have the TikTok generation soon coming into the workforce. We've had the Twitter generation for a while, and I think a TikTok, not that I'm suggesting we start dancing for our clients, but I think it's 15 seconds TikTok, and Twitter's 250 characters. So we need people that have the talent to not only capture and connect with our clients in a more digital way, but also can develop the necessary content that can feed it.
And are you developing more content, Roger? Because, for example, you're moving away from tentpole campaigns. You're needing to develop more content more regularly, and that therefore creates more work for the team. Is that a good analysis?
Yeah, I think it's about being really focused. I mean, I put in something in place which I call FDI. It's focus, defend, introduce, and it's about thinking about those strategies that we're for our clients that a particular focus, that we need to be doing extra work because going through a period perhaps in defense of performance for whatever reasons, and things that we're introducing. And I think it's only by having that focus that then we can provide the excellence. So it is more content, but it's also high quality of content. And finally, I think the balance that needs to happen is, I think as an industry, and it was certainly true of us a number of years ago, the balance between the resources and time that's spent on creating content versus activating it needs to be balanced more from, I don't know, I would sort, I'm picking this off the top of my head, but for 75, 25, 80, 20 balance towards creating, and this needs to move much closer to, let's say 50, 50 and beyond, whereby you may create some fantastic content or thought leadership, but then there are many, many ways that can be activated and made more snackable. So whether it's then in a podcast or it's in a tweet, or as we're doing now, making sure it's available through voice or on Alexa. So I think there's that move to make sure we're selective, but also we take the content, high quality content we have, and then activate it in many more ways.
And has it changed your interaction with agencies at all?
Yes and no. It hasn't changed it in terms of, I believe there's a lifelong truth of working with agencies from an asset management perspective, that there are just there are particular nuances of us as an industry. And I think what continues to be true is really important to me, that those agencies have a very good understanding of specialization in asset management. That's not true. That's not only true by the way of partnering with marketing agencies. It's also with search firms and other partners we work with, because it's really, really important to me that we can spend the time they can spend the time understanding what's our values, our culture, our value proposition in really real detail. And I don't feel I can work with an agency or partner with a consulting firm or a search firm unless I'm really confident that is the case. So I think that remains true. What's changed is that we have less time than ever before, as I say, in terms of recovering, renewing, and resetting. The time that we have, we're working to make sure we're close to our clients is shortened. So it becomes even more important. So I think that's the first thing. The second thing in terms of working agency that's changed is that the pressures on our cost base as asset management firms continue, and so we'll continue to think very, very carefully about the skill sets of what we need to be doing ourselves with full-time employees ourselves, and where there are specialist agencies that we can work with that are investing, for example, themselves in particular technology, keeping that up to date, or particular skill sets that we can leverage on. So I think that will continue to be mean that those agencies and the use of agencies will increase.
And when you watch television or you go on the internet, you sometimes look at other industries and they've got a wonderful product that we all know and love, and they can build sometimes some fantastic emotional campaigns around that product that can really tie in the consumer over a period of time. How can asset managers, in a service-based world where the product isn't as tangible, create better relationships with clients through using digital throughout the life cycle?
Oh, well, that's a great question. And actually, it's one close to my heart, because I think as an industry, we've hidden behind the terms B2B or institutional for far too long. And when I'm meeting clients or when I'm doing a beauty parade or I don't come in and there's not just a business sitting there. There's another human being, and I think we would do well to remember that and speak to our human beings in the language that is close to them, and that's exciting for my teams, because the room for storytelling is just, I don't think, being explored enough. And I think more than ever, right, as asset management experts, this environment reminds us of the important role we provide. I think when we're here hiding behind products and selling products, it's a pretty unemotive thing. But when we remind ourselves that we are responsible for people's financial health, and in this environment, I don't know about you, I have friends that are struggling in a number of ways and are requiring help. And if we do a good job, we can help people fulfill their dreams, their futures, through their pension fund, their savings, and have a good retirement, all the charities that we manage money for. And I think when we bring it back to that human aspect, it makes it a lot more interesting to connect, not just at a product level, but at an emotional level. And of course, the other thing is digital enables us to do that more than ever before. I talked about the tweeting and things, but even this, right? There's something authentic. You're seeing part of my home. We are. I remember at the beginning of this crisis, there were big concern is why we can't use the studio. So how are we going to film the fund managers? But actually, what the response we got of doing, an imperfect video on Zoom was really positive, because clients could see the human connection of a real portfolio manager, a real person, talking about their strategy. So I think there are actually some elements that from this environment that we'll learn, we'll take away. And absolutely, we've got to move on from that product-centric mindset to one that we talk to our clients as the human beings they are.
I couldn't agree more. I've had some wonderful conversations with people where, during an interview, a child's run in or a delivery's, arrived. And I think that's very much the world that we're in at the moment. And I think we all have to adapt to it and embrace it. And I think you're right. It gives people an insight into the fact that we all have lives outside of the office. And I'm like you, I miss the camaraderie and the collaboration of working with colleagues. I think we take it for granted that, work is a place where we go and we work hard, but we also make friends. And I think that's been taken for granted. But at the same time, one thing that excites me about remote working and a bit more flexibility is the diversity angle that you talked about, making sure we create an environment where different people from different backgrounds can excel. We all enjoy working in slightly different ways. And therefore, maybe the world we're going back to, I'm sure that the office will play a major part of working life, but it may just give people a bit more flexibility and help us tap into the talent pools that we really need to tap into in a bit more diverse.
Absolutely.
So I couldn't agree with you more on that.
I hope you're going to help us with that.
I hope so too.
We will allow you to help us with that, because I'm sure there's a talent pool that just hasn't thought of asset management as a professional that's for them. And actually, that could be by gender for various reasons. But actually, I was just yesterday. I was working with through HR asked me to work with a program or talk to 20 children that 20 children from underprivileged backgrounds that had never even thought about finance. They're from 16 to 18-year-olds. A program called Head Start, and it's great over 16 weeks. And the successful candidates will have a 2-week internship with us at the end. I think they have 20 and then 5 get the possibility to come in. And I really hope for them that they can come into the office. But these are. It was great to be able to see them all on Zoom, and that's been helpful. But I really hope that perhaps they're living in different parts of the country that they start to think, well, I can actually make that work if it's 3 days a week in the office and 2 days a week at home. So I think there's great opportunity there.
I think also, it's the talented people that are coming up that maybe live a mile from the city, but have never considered that the city's for them. And it's like, actually, you can have a wonderful career in the city, but you're right. We need to work hard to make sure we're reaching people, and I think there's a lot of good work going into that, actually, and I think that will continue going forward. Talking about how you mentioned earlier on about the interaction between various departments and various hierarchies. Well, I'm certainly not going to talk about which is the most important department. So, but certainly, digital transformation, digitalization has changed the interaction between IT, between sales, between marketing. But historically, sales and marketing have always been run as separate departments in some firms. Are we likely to see a greater collaboration and convergence of the sales and marketing teams going forwards?
Absolutely. And I'd almost say that if that wasn't in place before the crisis, I can imagine it was a pretty rocky ride, and people might have gone retrenched back into old silos and old setup. I mean, I can't imagine working or building an asset management firm without at least the aspiration of it being a partnership. Only because, and actually I gave the example through the crisis, and if people don't take that into the renew, I think they will become dinosaurs, because you saw through the crisis that in an hour of need, what do you say? What do you say to your client? Well, it's the marketeers that provide the content, the information, and the confidence on the back of that to go out there and be there for our clients in hour of need. And great marketing, good marketing departments, and I've got a fantastic team that did that. And I think as you go forward from there, you remember internally, who was there to help you. So I think it's also it's absolutely vital. I know I love working with our head of sales, with my regional CMOs, with the regional heads of sales. It just hand in hand. It's what makes it fun. Having that trust and respect, and it's different skills coming together, and a respect of those different skills. And that comes to the hiring as well, because we have more and more specialist people across marketing, whether it's digital experts, client experience experts. There's the whole content generation, thought leadership experts that we have. Yeah, and there's an acknowledgement increasingly that that's required to make sure that there's the quality of engagement with clients. And and I think there's an awareness that whatever it was 15 years ago, when as salespeople we would think we knew everything we knew because we went to the NAPF, remember those days, and talked to clients, and we thought we had all the information. Well, now the complexity of our clients, the complexity of the products that we've got, no human being can have the required information they need. They need to have marketing, or it can come from somewhere else, but typically from marketing, to provide that data and that intelligence of the right information at the right time, so that sales can engage with those with the clients in the most constructive way possible. I still believe the greatest opportunity in asset management is greater engagement with clients, not only in this country but worldwide. And the only way to do that is marketing and sales working hand to hand, and man or woman and machine working hand in hand together to be able to provide that quality of experience. So one, I think it's an absolute must, and two, it's also what makes it fun. And finally, coming back to what I said before, it's not just sales and marketing, it's the whole client journey. So it's actually thinking about sales and marketing, which is a classic one in distribution. But actually, I think a truly client-centric firm is thinking about that across operations, investment, finance, across the organization.
Yeah, it's a team effort, absolutely. When you see it done well. Well, I could talk to you for hours, but thank you for taking the time to talk to me. I just want to finish on a note about your thoughts for the rest of the year. I think you seem quite optimistic from talking to you, but are you optimistic about the second half of 2021?
Yeah, I am optimistic, actually. I was going to say I'm cautiously optimistic, but that's a far too corporate. I'm actually optimistic. I think it's been a tough time, particularly, I think for here in Europe, the changing of the seasons. There's just a rhythm to the year where we're now moving into spring, we're moving into summer. We've been through a hard time. We've been through all that together, and there's light at the end of the tunnel now. And so I really do feel optimistic about that. And I hope you and I'm hoping my colleagues all keep well, as we can get out there and meet again.
Well, thank you for your time. Keep well, Roger. It's really nice to talk to you, and take care.
Thanks, Simon. Keep well. Speak to you soon.